Well, we're back midway through the summer at Marseille, and I think you know what that probably means. A 16-point gap to Paris Saint-Germain is enticing because we want to topple them in French football. But after missing out in a French Cup final and being given an 8 million budget, it doesn't look like that's happening anytime soon. We've now got a chance to take a realistic step up to European super clubs, potentially given some of the job interviews we're offered. So let's go and get through them, see which job we get and hopefully make a move to a club where we can win some of the biggest trophies. Yes, hello, and welcome along to part 80 of the head coach with me, Daniel. We are back mid-June with Olympique Marseille being linked with 3 jobs and now being offered an interview with one of them. Hopefully that means we're going to be one of the favourites for it, which the job centre is suggesting we might be. So if you're looking forward to seeing how we get on, whether we get some job offers this summer and whether we move on to a European super club, then please do put a thumbs up on it. I know a few of you will perhaps be disappointed that we're moving on after 1 year, but if you look at the situation in real life with managers, if you get to this summer and say, right, how do we start catching PSG? And they say, well, actually, we're only going to give you 8 million quid. We're not going to allow you to sign much. You've got an aging squad and we're going to sell people. Then I think a lot would look to move on. We've seen it pretty regularly in the Premier League in recent times. So hopefully you can understand the decision-making process as some of the biggest clubs in the world have got vacancies at the minute and opportunities that we can really push on and win some of the big stuff. Of course, don't forget, once we finish this head coach series, we will go to the alternate one where we go back to the point where we left Japan and take the other job route, which was Willem 2, and go through that route instead. But for now, let's get straight through to the inbox and see what our first job interview is, because it's FC Bayern Munich. And I think you can then perhaps understand why we're looking at some of these moves, because this is an elite club. In terms of reputation, it is bigger than the one we're at. It is a 5-star reputation club. Their prediction was first in the Bundesliga, but this year they dropped down to second, which wasn't enough behind Bayer Leverkusen. Maybe they're just reliving this season in real life. So we've got a job to do if we end up there. There are some very good players about, 1 or 2 experienced ones, but a fairly young squad. If we also have a look through the job centre though, there are a couple of other jobs about as well. Bayern Munich, the favourite at the moment is Alex Neil. I mean, if we can't outdo that, we're in trouble. Nagelsmann, the favourite for Milan and Madrid. I'd imagine we'll get a job interview with both of them. There's also a few Premier League jobs and that up, but at the moment, I've not applied for anything else. So let's get through the Bayern interview. I won't bore you with all of them. We'll attend the first one and just let you know when others crop up. I'm not going to make promises this time. I'm going to say I've worked in loads of countries, which is great. My managerial appointments give me a wide range of experiences, absolutely. It's acceptable that I've applied for jobs. I'm trying to improve my career. This is the one that normally catches you out, isn't it? We had that problem with Peterborough Sports last year. So we're going to make sure that we say it was an exception rather than promising not to have any problems. My record speaks for itself. How dare you question me? We want to work with a director of football. Don't forget, this is a head coach save. We have no say in transfer, staffing or contracts. So having a director of football in place already is great for us. We don't need to change the backroom team. We're happy with the proposals, which will be win the league, I'm sure. Win a domestic cup, win the Bundesliga, be self-sustainable. Fair enough. Let's get through to the next bit. Nothing else we need to say. Are we going to be the favourite for it? Let's see if there's any change as a result of that. Doesn't look like it at the moment. There's no messages after. In the job centre, it's still Alex Neil. We'll skip ahead a day and see if that changes. And then, of course, find out if we get any interviews at the other 2 clubs. Well, big news just 8 days later as we are offered job interviews by AC Milan and Atletico Madrid, which we'll obviously attend. The Atletico Madrid job's a bit of a funny one because they've got a really old aging squad, but they have got a lot of them leaving this summer. So Joel Linton, who we know from the Southend save, Lenormand, we managed him with Palace a couple of years back, didn't we? Calabria is retiring. Mandragora is leaving the club. There's a lone player at 32 leaving there as well. And Ethan Waneri on loan is leaving. So actually, a lot of the older boys will be leaving, but it's still a fairly experienced squad. They have got a couple of young gems. So like Carlos in centre midfield, look at him. You've got real quality you can work around for the future. For AC Milan, it's a little bit different. A slightly younger squad. A lot of young players that are contributing. They've got a 23-year-old centre-half who, like so many in FM24, can't jump and doesn't have any height, but is elite at everything else. You've got a left-back at the same age who's very good. They've got a really good young team, and while there is experience there, the oldest one's a goalkeeper who's leaving, and most of the others have only got 1 year left on their deal, and are still very good players like Teo Hernandez, not lost an awful lot physically. So it is a job that does excite me. Maybe not as much as Bayern in terms of size of club, but I've always loved Italian football. So Bayern or Milan would be my first two choices. We'll attend both of those and see how we go. There's a few bits of transfer news going on at the minute, and perhaps a little surprise from Marseille, which is a positive. The first signing they've agreed this summer is a free transfer from a Saudi club, 27-year-old Kenan Yildiz. And actually, the Turkish international is a very solid player. Not at the level we're looking at the other clubs, but on a free for a relatively affordable wage. He's not earning anywhere near that, I can tell you. It's a very good signing for Marseille. So if we do end up getting rejected and having to stay here, we can get 2 or 3 like that, I'll be a pretty happy man. That's not the priority at the minute, though. We're going to get through these 2 job interviews. There is some big news on the job centre front as well. We are now hefty favourite for the Bayern job. 1-3 on a week later. Not sure what happened to Alex Neil. Maybe his interview went badly. But just to show you by comparison, they've got barely anyone over 30. They've got 1 or 2 with contracts till next year. But the biggest thing with them compared to the other clubs is just look at the average age of the squad. For us doing a sort of short to medium term stint at this club, to have most of the team at peak age at sort of 26, 27 to 29, I mean, it's pretty much a dream if you're going in for a few years, isn't it? So in terms of getting a stint where we've got a chance to win the biggest trophies, this is definitely the one that stands out at the minute. 9 years into a career, this would be pretty remarkable if we could get it. Certainly the quickest and biggest rise we've had in any head coach save, which we've probably got to thank Japanese football for. But between now and then, we've got to do these 2 job interviews and see which offers pop up. Well, just 4 days later, and we have our first job offer of the summer. And it is not the one we were heavy favourite for, because Atletico Madrid have approached us. Again, though, a relatively modest transfer budget, and the wage budget is not up much. Given the fact that some of the players are going this summer, that does worry me a little bit. They want to qualify for the Champions League, something they've not done this time around in 6th place. They're a Europa League team as it stands. And if you look at the gap to the top 3, it's pretty hefty, it's got to be said. The worry I have here as well is with Brendan Rodgers going, are we going to get the opportunity to improve? This summer so far, they've not done anything of note. And of course, we know that that's going to be difficult with some big name players moving on, albeit past their prime. It is by far the oldest squad of the 3. And while the temptation to be reunited with Omar Rodion from our Twitch save with Luton is there, I'm not going to do it straight away. It's my least favourite of the 3 jobs, but I'm a bit worried that we're not the favourite for the Bayern one anymore. Mikel Arteta has taken over that, despite the fact he is the Arsenal manager. And he's got bids by AC Milan and Bayern. So actually, it might come down to which job Arteta chooses. Because if he chooses Milan, we'd then probably be the favourite for Bayern. If he chooses the Bayern one, then Nagelsmann will probably be the favourite for Milan, which would be a problem for us. So we're going to see it out. We're going to delay it for 1 week. And if we don't get another job offer by then, we've got a real decision to make between Marseille and Atletico. We'll be back in a minute to see if we've got to make it. Well, we are back less than a week later, and you know what that means. We have got one of the other 2 job offers, and we owe a big thanks to our regular cover star, Mikel Arteta, because the face of the head coach has done us a big favour. Firstly, he did leave Arsenal to take the Milan job, and Arsenal have offered us an interview. They've got a really good side, but it is ageing a little bit. They've got a lot of those originals there still, something we see a lot with the Premier League teams at the top. But they've not won a league for a few years. And to be fair, we've got an actual job offer from a European super club. Bayern Munich replacing Julian Nagelsmann, a budget of 40 million, a massive wage budget. And the wage for us is relatively low, which I'm finding a bit weird with all of the offers we're seeing. There has been a senior offer as well, by the way, for Marseille. And it's from the German club, Bayer Leverkusen. Looks a pretty decent player. But again, we're talking about going to a super club. This ain't super club standard. This is very good Ligue 1 standard. We're also getting offers for star players of our team. And the offers for Brandao are 7 million. So if they get much more, we could be in trouble. That means with all of that in mind, I'm going to take the Bayern Munich job. I know the wage might be slightly lower, But in real life, would you drop your wage slightly to go to one of the biggest clubs in Europe? I think you probably would. Let's start the negotiations. We'll see if we can edge it up a bit. We'll get it up probably towards 37.5 if we can. It's the security of a 4-year deal as well. We've only got 2 years at Marseille, so we'll get a big payoff if we end up getting sacked. They've said they're some way apart, but I think we can get it up to 35. We'll suggest them. No, 32.5. We're going to have to accept it. It is a bit of a wage cut, but overall, it's a gain because we've got 4 years where we're guaranteed payment. So let's finalise the deal and move over to Germany, a club I've never managed in a head coach before, I don't think. Bayern Munich will be our next destination, and this could be the one where we win all the big trophies. Back in a moment to meet the staff and the players we're going to be working with. Well, here we are after 1 year at Marseille, where we did win French League Manager of the Year somehow, despite finishing 16 points behind Pep's PSG. We are now the Bayern Munich manager. We famously lifted an FA Cup with the Cherries. We've won the second division in Japan with Gifu. But apparently that qualifies us for one of the biggest jobs in European football. We rejected the offer from Atletico to come here, and Marseille will be looking for a new manager. Maybe they'll end up with Nagelsmann, who knows. Let's get through the introductions as we join a 5-star reputation club. They've got to get back to winning a title, which they failed to do last season. Christoph Freund is the director of football. He's very good at what he does on paper. Let's hope he delivers off the pitch as well. He's earning more money than me. That's not fair. Richard Kitzbüchler is the assistant manager, and he's very good as well. A few Austrians in here at the moment at Bayern Munich. We've got good finances. We've got a good transfer budget. Everything's state of the art off the pitch as well. This is a proper step up to the elite level. Gonzalo Ramos up front, an original name. You can also see De Ligt, Vermeeren, and Trubin in goal. Alphonso Davies still there too. But a lot of very good young players either side of that. We've only got to give short contracts to over 30s, win the Bundesliga, win a domestic cup, reach the latter stages of the Champions League. No pressure there then. Play attacking football and entertaining football is a must. So we're going to have to be on the front foot as we were at Marseille. The fans also require possession football, so that might require a slight change of style as well. We're going to have to play the sort of Manchester City way here. We want to be the most reputable team in Germany, and they've got to win the Bundesliga too. There is a lot of pressure on this job. There's not much room for failure. And after finishing second to Bayer Leverkusen last year, we've got to make sure we topple them this time around. The supporter profile update is a massive club. You all know that. How are there only 39,000 season ticket holders in a 90,000 seater? Surely they've got more than that. Let me know down in the comments if you're a Bayern fan or you know. Quarter-final of the Champions League, win the Bundesliga. Semi-final of the Cup, that's not too bad. But it's not that important to them. I guess the last 16 Champions League draw could be a big one. We'll create a tactic in a moment, but you know what we've got to do here. We've got to look at the staff and the players that we're going to be working with. An introduction to Bayern Munich starts with the staff. A fair few have gone with a former manager, but there's still plenty here given the size of the club. We know the director of football is good. Let's look at the technical director. He'll be in charge of getting the staff in, and my words, look at him. Perfection across all of the attributes on the knowledge front, all of the key mental ones as well. You cannot get better than that. 2 assistant managers in a senior squad. We've met one of them. The other is Stefan Hoffmann. He is a German assistant manager. More of a coach than he is an assistant in truth, but good people management, just the knowledge that's maybe not quite there compared to his counterpart. Head of youth development is Jochen Sauer, a German who is exceptional again. 18 and 20 for all the attributes, and a decent coach too. You can't ask for much more. You just feel like you've walked into a super club now, don't you, at an elite level. The under-19s manager is good, maybe not outstanding. And if we move down to the senior coaches on the goalkeeping and fitness front, good, again, not outstanding. Fitness coaches, solid, but not so much mentally. They've got all the technical attributes, which I guess is the crucial bit. If we go through the other teams quickly, just to look at like the head physio, perfection, 20 out of 20. Chief scout, 20 out of 20. I mean, it's ready-made for us to succeed, isn't it? In theory, with a good director of football, with a good technical director, and with these medical and recruitment teams, we shouldn't have a chance to fail. But we've seen it before at big clubs, haven't we? Where the director of football just doesn't get it. We have a look at the loan manager, also very good. The staff, we can have no complaints at all. We're walking into brilliance, and they're all probably better than us at our job. Let's go through to the players though, and we'll start with the development centre. It's the 1st of July, so all the out of contract players should have left. See one under 19 there with big potential. There are a few in this development team worth looking at. So in terms of ability at the moment, there's no one really stand out in the under 19s. No one with exceptional potential, but a goalkeeper that might be decent a long way down the line. In the second team, though, there's definitely a few worth looking at. A couple of 2-star players, but a few with big potential as well. A 17-year-old centre-half who, God, he can actually jump as well. We might have to work on developing him. 19-year-old striker Minkwitz, who is 2-star ability, 4.5 potential. I really like him. Not got the pace. Maybe as a number 10 would be a bit of a standout. Got the passing range, a good finisher. Got all the other physical attributes, but maybe just not that good in behind. And there was one other as well, wasn't there? Patern McKendy, 2-star ability, 4-star potential. Maybe not quite good enough for Bayern, but good enough for the Bundesliga somewhere. So in terms of potential, there are a couple of stars there. Let's see what there is in the first team though, because that's what you're all here to see. We're going to meet the senior squad, which at the moment is probably at its smallest. There's been a few players that have probably just left the club. Should we have a look at who's gone actually? We've got 3 players out this summer. We've just lost a player for 55 million, a 30-year-old to West Ham. That's good business in my book. 3 million for a midfielder at 26 who's average, and one to Hamburg for 600 grand. A youngster who's not good enough for Bayern. So no superb gems left the club from what we can see. What about free transfers this summer? No, nobody's gone out there. Release players, any senior level ones. Again, a backup and a young player. Nothing really to write home about. So that 55 million is probably where the transfer budget's from now. The finances are all right. But this is the squad we've got to work with. The first worry, only one senior goalkeeper. He's a very good one though. Anatoly Trubin is Ukraine's first choice goalkeeper. He is exceptional across the board and he's only 30 years of age. So we're going to get at least 3 or 4 years out of him, probably for as long as we're here at Bayern. There's a mix of young and experienced defenders who are all world class. Maybe do we play a back 3 looking at the centre halves we've got? We start with a 2.5-star player in Ercan Ramadani. He is a German youngster. He's an international now. Not the best in the world, but I'm guessing he's homegrown at the club, is he? He is. So he's come through the academy. He's good enough for the squad. He's the sort of player you've got to have around. He's your John O'Shea. He's your Wes Brown, for example. We move on to a couple of the big names you will know. I think the 2 oldest players in the squad, Deo Upamecano, still very good, still very quick. Got 1 year on his deal and he's wanted. I wonder if he'll end up moving on because he's got one of the highest wages as well. If he's here, we'll get a lot out of him this season. But given the other centre-halves we've got and the fact that Saudi clubs want him, I wouldn't be devastated perhaps if he goes. Matthias de Ligt is the other. He's a year younger, model professional, just a Rolls Royce of a defender. Brilliant player. We haven't even got to the 20-year-old superstar yet and we've already got 2 gems. Filippo Mane is the next one, 2.5-star ability squad player from Italy. He is a centre-half who can also cover right back and wing back. Really good physically, really good across the board. Just another really solid squad player and the personalities are exceptional here. This is the one I'm most interested in though. 20-year-old Bosnian, Alan Korsavic, who is 4-star ability with 5-star potential. Wow. And I mean genuine wow. A wonder kid. Look at him physically. He's great in the air. He's 6'4", 20 determination. The anticipation's there. The positioning's there. Tackling is superb. He's good on the ball. We might have the best young defender in world football here. I can't imagine there's anyone better than him across the world. Not at 20 anyway. So if Upamecano stays, we're going to have a real decision to make because we probably have to play all 3 of them. If only 2 stay, maybe we can rotate the experienced ones, I don't know. But for me, with De Ligt and Korsavic this year, we're going to be outstanding. A left back, we've still got Afonso Davies at 31 years of age. Physically explosive, technically very solid, determined, great flair. He's just a solid all-rounder, isn't he? He can play further forward if we need him. What a player. Again, we need a back 3 or a back 4. He's a perfect superstar for it. I'm excited already. His backup is Nazir Held, a 26-year-old Dutch squad player. Again, very good. These players are probably the ones that would be superstar level at Marseille, and there are squad players here. He's very good physically again. And when you're looking at those Bundesliga games where you need to rotate against the bottom half sides in domestic cups, if you're through in the Champions League already, these guys are perfectly competitive. A very good defender. Not the best in the world technically, but perfectly good enough as a backup. I am a bit worried though that he's wanting to go because he's struggling to settle in. And he's wanted by a couple of clubs back home and closer to home. We might end up losing him, unfortunately. The other one, we've got a fullback, can play right or left back. 24-year-old German Thiago Fernandez. He is another prospect from the academy, the first season, in fact. And he's very good. Natural on both sides. Naturally left-footed, though. And just a really good defender. Great physically again. Good personality again. A leader. Good cross. Good defensively. I mean, he's got the lot. I don't know where these boys are all going to play, but we've got an exceptional team, haven't we? Maybe right back is the weakness there, but he's still pretty good enough to play at that level, isn't he? So defence then, whether we end up with back 4 or 5 is exceptional. Given the lack of depth, it would probably have to be 4, but I guess it depends what happens to Held and a couple of the others. If we move into midfield, we've got 27-year-old Arthur Vermeeren, hot prospect at the start of the game. Maybe not reach quite the level some would expect, but a good squad player, 3-star ability. He is wanted elsewhere by Manchester United, and I wouldn't be broken-hearted to see him go. He's a very good playmaker, and being able to play holding role and centre mid gives us options when it comes to versatility. Again, professional personality. Paul Wanner, another player that's well known. He is transfer listed though, wanted by Olympique Marseille among other clubs. He's a very versatile option though. He's a good squad player. I'd quite like to keep him, to be honest. He's another one that's a bit of a wonder kid at the start. And I think he could serve a purpose for us. Certainly off the bench, being able to cover 4 or 5 positions. I look at him perhaps like I looked at Yunus Musa at Marseille. And I think, yeah, he could help us out. But if he goes, 40 million would be fine, I can tell you that. It also pleases me that on paper, he's the worst rated midfielder. Because now we've got a string of 3- and 4-star players. Miles Lewis-Skelly is the only Englishman in the squad. 3-star ability, worth over 100 million. Oh my god, he's pretty good, isn't he? Can play holding role and centre midfield. I'm going to struggle to pick 11 players here with the team we've got. Very good technically and physically. Good personality again. This is an elite squad. How did they not win the Bundesliga? Lerato Sebaya is the next one. 24-year-old South African. 3-star ability, 4-star potential. Just exceptional again. A bit short, not the best in the air, but just brilliant, both going forwards and backwards. Would be a great box-to-box, actually, but not rated so well there. And they can play holding role, so he could play a legitimate 4-2-3-1 here, the way we're going. Another one that will fill in perfectly in Bundesliga games. Marquinhos is a 29-year-old right winger, 3-star ability. Not exceptional, but very good. 1 cap for Brazil, plenty of appearances for Bayern Munich, and happy to be involved here and there. He's going to be a very decent player for us and will feature plenty given his pace off the wing. The next one is Desiree Doué, who is 27. He is a central midfielder, 3-star ability, 3.5 potential. Ren wonder kid at the start of the game, now a very good all-rounder at the top level. Another one though who is wanted at the moment. Who is he wanted by? Because that could be the decisive factor. He is wanted by Arsenal and Newcastle, so he might be off if the right offer comes in. A great all-rounder and a great personality again. Jeremy Pino is the next one. 4-star ability. Right winger, but very versatile. He is outstanding. Can play off the right or left naturally. He's very good physically and technically. He's professional. He's a legendary winger. He's got a great record for Spain. He's got a great record for Bayern and Villarreal. My word, we've got some superstars here. Still in his peak as well. What a player to have. He will definitely be starting off one of the wings. He's joined in there by Florian Wirtz, who is a 3-star ability player at 29. We know what he can do. Maybe not quite as good as he's been in some other saves, but still an outstanding elite midfielder. Great in that number 10 role, and he's got the finishing ability in behind as well. Resilient, elite level, German international, and a Bayern legend. Played loads for Leverkusen before as well. Just a superstar everywhere. If we look at Dylan Sanchez, who is the best rated left winger at the club, not by much though. 4-star ability Portuguese international. My God, look at him. 17 crossing, dribbling, pace, acceleration, 20 agility, 19 determination. How are we going to fit these all in a team? Because there's two left wingers that are rated just as good as each other. And Dylan Sanchez, I mean, that's just an outstanding out-and-out winger. We've got one off the right who can cut in and be clever like Pino. And then we've got Sanchez, who's just an elite superstar. Behind him is another 4-star left winger, a 22-year-old Belgian, Dimitri Helsen. He wants to be an important player as well, which might be a problem morale-wise. I'm sure there'll be room for both to play plenty of games. Maybe one's injury prone, I don't know. He's a very good winger. Not quite as good as Sanchez, but a 22. I'm sure he might improve as well. I mean, if that's a backup at this level, we are going to have one hell of a field day, because that would get into any other team in world football pretty much. If we look at the front three, we've got star of the show, 31-year-old Gonzalo Ramos. You've all heard of him in real life. He's a model citizen. He's an elite striker. He's great running in behind. He's also 6'1", and he scored 1 and 2 for Bayern Munich. He is going to be incredible for us, and he's going to be the star of the show up front. Definitely a one-striker system. I'm probably looking at a 4-2-3-1 again, with the natural holders we've got, with the wingers we've got certainly, and then maybe Wirtz in behind Ramos, maybe Pino in behind. Could be something quite spectacular, couldn't it? Was Helsen left-footed as well? He was. A bit of a shame neither of them can play off the right, really, but we'll find a way to make it work. The other two strikers, we've got 27-year-old Rodrigo Ribeiro. You all remember him from the head coach last year, but he's transfer listed here. He's wanted by a few clubs in England. I quite like him. I think he's a good backup. Again, good in behind, but also 6'2". He's quick, he's good, he can play off either flank. I can see why maybe they want to get rid of him, because 300 grand a week is a lot for a backup player, but I'm not going to be upset for as long as he's here, because he's a very good number 2 to Ramos. And then the number 3 is John Hervenhov, a 21-year-old Danish striker, 2.5 ability, 3.5 potential. Oh, he's got it all. 6 foot, quick, electric in behind, good composure, good movement, great technique. I mean, for a third choice striker, you're not getting much better than that, are you? I am thrilled with that squad. If anything, we maybe need a right back, but I'm splitting hairs there. Maybe an upgrade on Wirtz at number 10, but let's be honest, if I can't make this squad click and win the Bundesliga, I haven't got a hope in hell, have I? We've been at Bournemouth, we've been at Marseille, we've taken those gradual steps up, but this is the first elite one. There is no excuse here. We've got to win the German top flight and bring that Bundesliga title back to Bayern Munich. What a squad to work with. Let me know in the comments what system you would play. What players would you leave out? It looks remarkably like people like Upamecano, like Helsen could be backups at this football club. There's going to be some great midfielders missing out on the team as well. And of course, with a big player just leaving the club, there's still 40 million for the director of football to go and improve it. We'll set him to be in charge of transfer staffing and contracts. We'll see what comes in for the rest of the pre-season. But overall, this looks an outstanding squad. And possibly the best I've ever inherited in any head coach save. I'm trying to think of a club where we've had a better squad with more young players in. And I can't think of one, to be honest. If we have a look at the schedule, the season is starting in style. I mean, to be fair, it's not an easy start, is it? Mainz at home the first day, but then Gladbach, Wolfsburg, Dortmund, Frankfurt and Leipzig. On paper looks a bit of a nightmare. The big game to look out for is Leverkusen at home at the end of November. We'll make sure we get that into an episode. And of course, there's going to be plenty of Champions League football in the midst of all that as well. I'm really excited for this one because the fact the club hasn't won the Bundesliga, the fact that we've got so many young players, which is so uncommon for an AI squad to develop, I just feel like we've landed in a goldmine here and we have got no choice but to be a blinding success. We are going to return for the first game of the league season. We'll probably miss out the cup game unless we get a very difficult game, which we won't. So we'll probably be back for Mainz at home, a transfer roundup, a tactical decision, and a big moment with this elite super club that for the first time we'll be managing. One Englishman in the squad, loads of talents elsewhere. Let me know what you think of the team, what system you would play, and whether or not you're looking forward to seeing me maybe bottle a Bundesliga with them. I would imagine they're the heavy favourites, and that won't change unless there's some superstars sold. If you want to stay up to date and find out how our first season in Germany goes, and whether we've made the right move in leaving Marseille, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe and turn that notification bell on for daily FM24 content. We'll be back with Southend United tomorrow. More big action to come from there. But for now, if you want to stay up to date with everything and make sure you don't miss a thing, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We've got plenty of playlists up in the eye above. You can see my youth development video, which has gained traction recently. There's also links to the Twitch channel and the football podcast for regular content. But thank you very much for being here. Your support, as always, is appreciated. And I'll see you back here next time as we get into our first game with FC Bayern Munich. What an occasion it's going to be.